Unspoken Issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unspoken Issues podcast. We are celebrating more Ultraverse today. That's right. This time, we are going to be talking about the Exiles. Now, if you came up to me and you said, "Hey, Jesse, do you want to talk about the Exiles?" I'd be like, Are you talking about the Quantum Leap team that was in Marvel? And I'd be like, no, you talking about the 90s Exiles from the Ultraverse. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about them. Never read anything about them. I'll be glad to sit here and talk about them. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I've got Evan Bevins here. I've got Chris Armstrong.
Yeah, I renewed my appreciation for Steve Gerber, and you found yours with his adventures with She-Hulk and his most famous creation, Howard the Duck, and the cosmic squish principle.
Yes.
And so we were talking about some poll possibilities for Unspoken Issues. I said, well, hey, I found out he did some Ultraverse stuff, so why don't we put up a couple of his Ultraverse titles? And so it was Sludge versus Exiles. I think Sludge was winning for a while. I think I actually voted for Sludge and then was trying desperately to find a copy of Sludge #1. But Exiles pulled it out in the end, and I've had that one sitting in my to-read pile for quite some time now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to...
And Steve Gerber is definitely one of the credited writers.
Yes, he is. Well, clearly, Exiles won. Had you read the Exiles before, Evan?
I had not. I knew two things about Exiles, which was that at some point when Marvel acquired Malibu and the Ultraverse, they put Juggernaut, Reaper, and Sienna Blaze into the Ultraverse and on the Exiles. And then Exiles character Foxfire made it into the Overpower card game as a special card for Juggernaut.
The Exiles book does kind of lay the groundwork for that breakthrough miniseries that comes out later. The first big, line-wide crossover that Ultraverse had. So it kind of springs that open. And the interesting thing I think about Exiles is it was originally intended to be part of the Malibu Protectors line, like with Protectors and X-Mutants and all those books. Like there's an ad in some older Malibu comics called The World of Malibu or something that's got all the characters, it's got Dinosaurs for Hire, X-Mutants, some of the Protectors characters, and you can see the Exiles in there. And that was before Ultraverse launched. So initially that was the plan, was to make Exiles a Malibu standard property. And then it got folded into the Ultraverse when they started working on that, apparently. And I think that's probably why there are so many writers credited to it, because I'm assuming a lot of the concepts were laid before Steve Gerber got brought in, because he got brought in, I think, when the Ultraverse initiative got pushed forward, and he liked some of the concepts and he wanted to be the writer on it. So yeah, I liked this book a lot. I liked the series. This is one of the books that really had a problem with the art, because Paul Pelletier, I think is how you pronounce his name, he does the art in this issue, and I believe he did that Malibu ad that they appeared in as well, and he was on X-Mutants at one point. But I think he only does issue 1, and then there's some other artists that are much less pleasing to my eyes doing some of the later issues. But yeah, this is a book that's a cool concept. It's kind of a takeoff on the X-Men or even X Force, but I liked it quite a bit, and I still think this issue particularly holds up. But
August of 1993 is when this hit the shelves, it looks like. Mike's Amazing World of Comics has it listed August 17th of 93. I did find the poll result. 12 votes total. 59% of those votes went with Exiles and 41 with Sludge #1. So, okay.
Sludge is a really good book. It's one of the better Ultraverse books, I think. Gerber, and then also Aaron Lopresti is the artist, and he's done a lot of books over the years. I think that was one of his earlier books, and he really kills it on those Sludge issues. So anyway.
Let's go ahead. We'll get into this here real quick. So again, like I said, on the shelves, 1993, August of 1993, Exiles #1, $1.95 cover price. Steve Gerber, Tom Mason, Dave Olbrich, Chris Ulm, all writing. Paul Pelletier on pencils, Ken Branch, inks, Clem Robbins, letterer, Paul Mounts, Moose Ballman on colors, or color designs, and Chris Ulm editing. Jumping in here with a little post-edit synopsis, the one I gave originally was not the greatest. So this time I took some notes on the issue, and lo and behold, I've got ChatGPT. That's right. ChatGPT is doing a synopsis based on my notes. I'm going to read it here and throw it into the episode. So here we go. Exiles issue number 1. In the action-packed world of Exiles, chaos unfolds at Parkmore High School as Amber Hunt and her boyfriend Kurt find themselves under attack by the menacing Sinister Supreme Soviet and his robotic henchmen, the Cybernoids. Amber becomes the target of their assault, prompting the intervention of 3 valiant superheroes known as Tinsel, Deadeye, and Trax. A fierce battle erupts within the school, resulting in substantial damage to the premises. Trax, in his valiant attempt to rescue Amber, confronts the Sinister Supreme Soviet, but sustains a grave injury in the process. Meanwhile, Amber, determined to escape her captors, finds herself within the sights of the malevolent Sinister Supreme Soviet, only to be saved at the last moment by Deadeye, who propels their adversary into a nearby building. With the school in ruins, Tinsel, Deadeye, and Trax manage to secure Amber's freedom, transporting her to Stronghold, the Exiles' fortified island headquarters. It is here that Amber encounters other members of the Exiles, including the enigmatic Ghoul and their capable leader, Dr. Rachel Deming. Frustrated and unimpressed, Amber expresses her desire to return home and even threatens legal action against her newfound allies. Amber's world is turned upside down when she learns that she is a potential, an individual infected with the deadly Theta virus. However, instead of facing certain death, the infected can gain extraordinary superpowers through a specific treatment process. In Los Angeles, at Visionary Productions, Malcolm Court, the mastermind behind Amber's abduction attempt, receives an update from the ill-fated Sinister Supreme Soviet, leading to a horrifying outcome. Meanwhile, in San Diego, the Exiles beta team, comprising Catapult and Mustang, embarks on a mission to locate another potential named Timmy. However, they find themselves pitted against Bloodbath and Brute, who are also vying for Timmy's capture on behalf of Malcolm Court. A brutal confrontation ensues, laying waste to Timmy's home and tragically resulting in the death of Timmy's mother at the hands of the merciless Brute. Catapult and Mustang, momentarily incapacitated by Bloodbath, awaken to find Timmy missing, leaving them to grapple with the consequences of their failed rescue mission. As the first issue of Exiles reaches its riveting conclusion, the stage is set for a thrilling and perilous journey as the Exiles face the machinations of Malcolm Court, strive to protect the potentials, and race against time to prevent further tragedy.
I really liked this one back in the day. I still kind of like it. I appreciate Paul Pelletier's art is very cartoony, kind of like a cross between Tom Grummett and Mike Ringo, sort of.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first time I'd seen this kind of artwork in a comic that was this violent, with characters deteriorating into skeletons and necks getting snapped, stuff like that. But I thought that was a cool contrast. Yeah, a lot of cool characters. Deadeye, he, like I said earlier, he kind of looks like Cable with a mohawk. He's got, straps of ammunition, big shoulder pads, and an aiming unit on his eye. Sort of appreciate them doing kind of an X-Men style comic, but obviously they're young. They're not as experienced as maybe that you want soldiers to be going out. They screw up pretty badly when they have to deal with Timmy.
Yeah. They don't introduce us to the whole team right off the bat, which is, I kind of wondered at the end of this, are we going to have more members of the Exiles out there that I just didn't know about? Because you don't see anything about Catapult and Mustang at the headquarters until, they're mentioned that there's another team going out trying to get another potential, but that's it. I don't know if there would be more members or not, but either way, you don't get them all right here. The first 2 pages fighting off Sinister Supreme Soviet, whatever his name is. You got a book that opens up right in the middle of a battle almost. Within 2 pages, you've got something going on outside of a high school. And I will tell you that Amber got on my nerves, and I'm sure she's written.
That continues.
Oh, I figured. Did you say Amber has a card there?
Yeah, she was in Flame.
In Flame, okay.
So, this might surprise you, Jesse.
Oh.
But although she is rather annoying, turns out she's got a cool factor of 12.
Surprising. Hey, Bloodbath's card, does he have a card there?
Bloodbath, I believe he does.
I'm curious what his powers are.
I can hear you turning the plastic sleeves. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I love it. I love
Let's
it.
see. Okay, Bloodbath. He was bitten by a radioactive Wolverine's hair.
No,
Let's
jeez.
see. He is a master of blades, firearms, and martial arts. He does not need any ultra powers to be a viciously efficient killer. He needs only his speed, strength, agility, and hate.
Nice.
Cool
While
factor.
he enjoys killing in general, nothing brings him greater pleasure than the death of an ultra-human by the hands of Bloodbath. It's proof that no matter what powers they may possess, Bloodbath is the truly superior man. And as an example of that superiority, he's got a cool factor of 12.
I mean, when you look at these characters, they have got some costumes going on. I mean, you talked about Deadeye. Bloodbath, arguably, in my eyes, has probably one of the coolest costumes in this book. I mean, he's got spiked shoulder pads looking like the Legion of Doom, folks. I'm coming out for the NWA titles. A large gun. He's got almost like a Wolverine haircut.
Yeah.
Very similar. He's got two ponytails, but I don't know what you'd call it. I guess his symbol on his chest is just a big old blood splatter.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, dude, come on.
And those aren't ponytails. He's got pigtails. Come on. Although he does have a third one in the back.
Yeah, there's a third one in the back.
To his knees, basically.
I assume that's a large tattoo on his face. Brute's an idiot. Is Brute dead? Does he show back up?
He is not dead. I think he's in issue 2 at least.
And I did pull Brute's card, by the way. He was a janitor who tried to be a professional wrestler but got kicked out for injuring too many opponents. Doesn't have a very high IQ, but he managed to overcome all those challenges and earn a cool factor of 12.
Very impressive.
Oh, man.
I do wonder, like, a lot of these characters were already created, I guess, before Gerber jumped on. I'm kind of curious which ones were and weren't, because, like, I just have to imagine, like, Brute with the giant shoulder pads and Bloodbath with his, spiked shoulder pads and Wolverine hair. Like, how much of this was like Gerber being like trying to do parody type characters? Aping,
yeah.
And wanting to do, so because he's famous for doing, Howard the Duck and doing kind of crazy stuff. But these may have been characters that were all already be in place before he jumped on. I'm not sure.
If we're talking costumes, I think we need to talk about Mustang's costume.
Oh, Mustang.
Which looks like it was designed by at least as many artists as there are credited writers on this issue. He has shoulder pads, and I know this joke gets tired sometimes, but this isn't a joke. He has shoulder pads with pouches. Yeah. Or they appear to be pouches anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking they were.
Then he's got like a purple shirt, green and white pants, and boots from a Jolly Green Giant cosplay.
Yeah, I was
throwing stars as spurs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
And the armbands.
Yes. Whatever it is, there's a lot of it.
They did run the gamut of costumes here. I mean, when you're looking at like
Justin Mustang.
Yeah, Justin Mustang. And then when you take a good look at Catapult, now Catapult's pretty simple. Silver and blue, maybe a little bit of black in there. But, I mean, dude has Mega Man boots.
Well, like there's a reason for his costume.
Okay.
And so maybe there is, but on his card, he has the power to redirect an object's inertial energy, thus turning himself into a human catapult. But he does not have like superhuman musculature or whatever. So Dr. Deming actually built him that exoskeleton so he doesn't get crushed when he picks up cars and things.
Oh, okay.
And according to the card, his real name is Kevin Albers, thus torpedoing my theory that he's Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles in a wig.
Yeah, he's definitely a surfer dude type.
The language that he uses when you first run into him, like you're like, oh my gosh, what is this guy's problem? Catapult to Heather, we're in the home stretch, dudette. Now look, okay, it's 93. I might have used that a bit. I might have used the word doodad a few times. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend.
I was just gonna say that's an interesting thing about the Ultraverse line is the vast majority were all based in West Coast cities, so San Francisco, Los Angeles.
That's right.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I know Prime eventually relocates to New York for a while at one point, and I think there is at least one other character that's based on the East Coast, but I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. But most of the vast majority of the Ultraverse stuff, especially in the early going, was all like West Coast based.
That's right. The Mustangular One requests status of the Judster. It's like, dude.
But hey, credit where credit's due. I do like Catapult's line, where words fail, the hurtling Subaru often succeeds. It's dialogue like that probably heavily contributed to his cool factor of 12.
Yes, it did. Oh, goodness.
I do like the simple design of Catapult and Tinsel, and I like Deadeye's design.
Yeah.
The others, I can kind of take or leave, but
the X-Men parallels are pretty obvious there, and then it kind of throws you for a curve, because you expect them to recruit the young mutants, Amber a little bit more disagreeable than Kitty Pryde. Then it really throws you a curve when Timmy's mom doesn't make it out.
Yeah. Right.
So it went. You're like, okay, this is pretty familiar that they're trying to capitalize on the X-Men, and then it goes really dark. Yeah. But again, not in a way that feels like they're just trying to, hey, dudes, let's be edgy. But yeah, you got super powered people shooting and throwing stuff around. Regular people are going to get caught in the crossfire.
After she gets killed, it's Catapult. They're trying to calm Timmy down. And that's an interesting piece of dialogue there too, where he's like, "Nothing you could do, man. She's already," and then he stops because he knows it's definitely a situation that's going to require some delicacy. She's already gone. Yeah. How many writers did we say we had here? 5?
4.
4 different writers.
I believe Mason, Ulbrich, and Ulm are all, publishers and editors at Malibu at the time. So. Okay. This is probably a concept that they came up with while it was still a Malibu idea. Gotcha. And then they handed it over to Gerber to write it, I'm assuming.
Back in an issue we talked about probably multiple episodes ago, Hard Case #1, there's a scene with a bunch of graffiti, and on one of the walls is scrawled, "Tom Mason is God."
Oh, nice. I know Steve Gerber as the guy that inserts humor into a lot of his... in the absurd into a lot of his comics. That's definitely not going on here, in my opinion. I mean,
other than Trax and what's her face.
Yeah, and that's just kind of.
But even that's pretty straightforward.
There isn't a whole lot of absurdity here. How long does Steve stay on this title? The whole way, or
4 issues, I think.
Okay, is it all straight superhero style flair for the 4 issues, or does he get silly at all?
Yeah, it seems to be pretty standard superhero type stuff.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just saying it's a different Steve Gerber.
Take.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's done a lot of straightforward superhero stuff over the years too. So.
Okay. All right. Then so it's not uncommon for him. I prefer the funny Steve Gerber.
There's no baloney verse here.
Now see, that's what I wanted. Let's pick a panel here. This was your baby, Evan Bevins. Pick a panel. You get first shot.
I'm going with Catapult and the hurtling Subaru. I like the visual effect of his powers, and it shows even with that exoskeleton, he's not lifting it like you would normally expect. So it's just a little off kilter there. Cool effect with the powers. Cool dialogue, dude.
All right, let me go ahead and pick one, and you can get the last one there, Chris. Let me see.
I'd go so far as to say that panel has a cool factor of 12.
Oh, please.
Maybe every panel.
No, that's just silly, Chris. If they're all have a cool factor of 12, then the cool factor is meaningless.
As far as art goes, now there's some action-packed panels in here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, you're watching Trax get launched after he gets punched. You can watch the Sinister Supreme Soviet run into a building. There's a lot of action here. However, as far as art goes, I like the one panel where you get a nice, good, solid look at Ghoul's face. I think I'm going to go with that. And when you look at that, I mean, if you actually look at that panel, the art's not lacking here at all. That's like something that's image worthy almost. It's not image. When I think image worthy, I also think of like the detail in the art and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, Paul is pulling it off here. Just going to go ahead and take a look. You go ahead and pick your panel there. I want to take a look and see what other books he was on. but
I know he did Aquaman for the New 52.
Yeah, his this era he had been on X Mutants, I think, before this. But he would go on to do a lot of stuff for Marvel and DC over the years, and his style has kind of evolved to kind of like a sort of a Mark Bagley sort of esque. Not that's not even really a great comparison. Sort of a poor man's Brian Hitch, maybe.
Okay.
But I like his art. I like it in this era, and I like it now. He was a lot more cartoony looking in this era.
Here's something interesting. In 2005, 12 years later, issues 69 through 74, 79 through 80, 85 through 88, and 90 through 94, he apparently, I'm assuming, is penciling Exiles.
There you go. Back to the roots.
the Sliders / Quantum Leap team. Check it out. That's crazy. All right. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead, man.
There's some cool panels, but there's not a lot of like great
action packs.
There's not a lot of standouts,
Right. Right.
But I really like the panel of Deadeye flinging the disc at the robot, and in the next panel it lands in his head and then blows up. But I like that look of him flinging that disc at one of the robotic attackers or whatever.
Cybernoids.
Yeah.
Avoid the cybernoid.
So yeah, Exiles is not one of my favorite Ultraverse books, but I do like it. And like I said before, it leads into the Breakthrough big crossover, so it's kind of an important book in that sense too. But not one of my favorites, but it's still pretty good, I think.
I feel like
I get it, Jesse. You didn't like it.
I didn't hate it.
No,
and it's one of those things where it's like, this is a team book. We're bringing in something that is very reminiscent of what's hot at this time, and that's the X-Men.
Yeah.
I mean, mutant books are still on fire over there in the Marvel universe. If that's the case, I mean, why wouldn't we want to do something that's kind of parallel to that?
Yeah.
So
it has an X in the title and everything.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that somebody's going to, Exiles. That's got to be related to the X-Men somehow, right? There's an X there. But yeah, I mean, this is something that I could see. I wouldn't mind checking out, see what happens. See if Amber, watch her transformation. See if she actually gets a hold of her dad and they sue the Exiles. But as far as like color and this book is very bright. The costumes on these superheroes and supervillains are they are definitely 90s superhero costumes. This is a book that's going to be focusing on these teams warring against each other for a little bit, fighting against each other and trying to get these other potentials in there. So, it's setting up for a good bit of conflict later on down the road. And, let's see what Ghoul gets to do too. I want to see what he gets to pull off.
I enjoyed it. Definitely a little more straightforward and traditional than what I think of when I think of Steve Gerber. Not as strong as some of the other first issues in Ultraverse we've talked about, but a lot of, and this is not a pun for once, potential there. So yeah, I mean, I'd like a lot of the Ultraverse stuff I've gone back and reread. I'd like to see where it goes from here. I don't know. It didn't distinguish itself to me from a lot of other superhero stuff. Just seemed like a good, solid superhero first issue.
Let's go ahead. We'll get into plugs. So, Evan Bevins, one more time, buddy. Let's hear about Asterisk 51. What's going on over there?
Asterisk51.blogspot.com. That's my blog about comics, movies about comics about movies I found at Dollar Tree. Whatever might be rattling around in my head. Right now, I'm working on reading through Stan Lee's Just Imagine series for DC Comics, which by virtue of being a series Stan Lee wrote for DC Comics with a murderer's row of artists is always going to be fascinating to me. Also was a guest on Magazines and Monsters recently, getting ready to go through Thor the Eternals saga. Billy decided that was a better focus than the Adventures of Red Norval. So it's his show, so I'll go with that. El Vampiro's on the horizon. So
look out.
Jesse, we've been talking even a little more than usual with Snap material.
That's right, baby.
Getting ready to do another round of that.
That's right.
I'm staying busy and having fun.
All right. Yeah. Check out our discussion about Marvel Snap, the mobile game. Evan and I have been playing that for a little while now. We decided to do a little bit of podcasting about it. So if you enjoy that game, please listen to us babble on for what we think is important stuff that's happening in there and some of the fun stuff that's happened to us and what's upcoming. So check that out. Unspoken Issues podcast. We're closed in on 80 episodes, folks. To go back in the archive, listen to us talk about more 90s comics. Also listen to some previous Ultraverse related episodes in there. We talked, yeah, that's right. We talked Prime #1, Hard Case #1, and The Strangers #1 in an earlier episode. You can also listen to our very first episode where Chris and I got together and talked about Prototype #1. So there's all sorts of fun stuff out there. If you enjoy your Ultraverse, you could probably find a few shows that we did that, you may enjoy. And, of course, the Source Material Comics podcast. Check that out. It's just a book club for comics. We get together, talk about comics that we've read and some of the great stories that are out there. Got plenty of those episodes. I think we're well over 300 episodes there for that. So, Chris Armstrong, let's hear about small screeners and some other stuff.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RoadieMan34, and I got another podcast I do with my buddy AJ where we talk about movies, specifically direct-to-video and made-for-TV movies. Some of our recent episodes include a couple HBO movies, The Last Outlaw Western that they put out in the 90s, and 61, based on the 1961 home run race between Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. And then we also have done recently the direct-to-video slasher horror action movie Maniac Cop 2. So we kind of do a lot of different stuff over there.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, and Chris and I, we contribute to the Unspoken Decade a little bit every once in a while. And, of course, this podcast is a part of that. I did do an article over there. If you like Ultra Force, the cartoon, well, I was a brand newbie to that thing, and I sat down and watched all the episodes on YouTube, and I did a paper. I did a blog. I did something. I wrote something out for it. So if you want to, I don't know what they call it. Evan knows. An essay, yes. I wrote down, I got a grade. My wife loved it. She gave me an A. You can check that out too. So that's out there. All right. Chris Armstrong's over there. That's Evan Bevins. I'm Jesse Starcher. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. Unspoken Issues is part of the UnspokenDecade.com, the home for 90s comics, blogs, and podcasts. Unspoken Issues also has a Facebook group you can join if you are interested. Just search the Unspoken Issues podcast and request to join. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com and the Rattlechen Broadcasting Network, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.